Greetings, geeks and girls. We're back with the final review that we're going to be doing until we go into the next phase, which I still don't know how I'm going to do. But that is not going to stop me. Today we're going to be talking about a movie that I have been wanting to talk about for freaking ever, but I couldn't get a DVD copy, so I couldn't talk about it. Jesus Christ, help me! But I digress. Excuse me for a second. I just had a mental breakdown. But this is what I've been wanting to talk about because I love this character, and this is probably the best incarnation of him. Because there's been a movie before it, there was a movie afterwards. The first one was and the second one was meh. This captures the character perfectly. And, of course, I am talking about Howard the Duck. What? Oh, sorry, I meant to say Punisher. Two people are gonna get that joke. Anyway, let's move into the character that I love the most out of these five characters here, the Punisher. If you are not aware, the character of the Punisher basically goes like this. Frank Castle was an average family man with a wife and kid who had to go through his main day-to-day life until his wife and kid were ran over by a criminal, and then he swore his entire life away, and he declared war on the criminal justice system. And unlike other characters like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, he's not like that. He breaks every superhero rule there is. 1, he is not gonna cover his face with a mask. 2, he does not have any superpowers. And 3, he has no problem slaughtering every single crime boss there is. He is not like Judge Dredd, where if you jaywalk, you're dead. No. He will go after bigger threats than he's not like that. He will go after the big threats, the small threats, but nothing just average. You know, nothing like, oh, I forgot to flush the fucking toilet. He's not like that. But he is a ruthless son of a gun, and this movie captures that. The action is pretty good, and it's not as good as Punisher Warzone, I am going to say. It's memorable gore and violence. That's one thing that movie had. But this movie did capture the one thing that the Punisher has to have. It's the one thing that people say is like all over the place. Because when this movie came out, it was all over the place in comic book movies. Hulk, Daredevil, the friggin' there's a couple Batman movies, I guess, technically. Even Superman Returns is another one. Catwoman. All these comic book movies had one thing in common. Brooding. There are a lot of moments like that. Brooding is a big part of this character, though. That's the one thing that's different. Yeah, y'all see it. But the Punisher is a person who has had his family killed in front of him. Unlike with Uncle Ben and with Peter Parker, and with Batman and his parents, this time, yeah, he's got it happen. But this time, like, what could he again? It has that exact feeling. So honestly, if this character if you have a problem with him brooding, frankly, if he saw his wife and kid get slaughtered in front of him, he can brood all he wants. That's his deal, man. I completely sympathize. Another thing I wanted to talk about with this movie is the amount of hate it gets. I don't understand it. I mean, I guess people kind of file it as one of those early 90s comic book movies, or late 90s, early 2000s comic book movies. But it's a lot more than that. It was actually one of the better ones of those series. It was before Blade, for one. There's something you probably didn't know. It came out before Blade. And it was it wasn't a lot of fun. It was a dark, brooding story. It was all about atmosphere. It was the music, that memorable theme. It had such a brooding moment. Him with his war journal, and he has a catchphrase that people don't know. People don't know his people don't call it a catchphrase, but he said it many times. And this is the Punisher's catchphrase. God is gonna sit this one out. You look me in the eye and tell me that guy is not, is just one of the average brooding villains, one of these comic book characters. People like movies like The Hulk, or terrible movies like Steel, He's not like that. It's not like that. This movie is incredibly fun to watch, and it's like while you're looking at it, you honest to God feel for what the Punisher's going through. Frank is a very sympathetic character, and when you're watching it, you honestly, while he's brooding like that, you feel the pain he's going through. Yet he does not give a single tear. Keep that in mind, because as much as I love Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, I will admit he does cry a little too much. Just a little. I'm not gonna complain like, oh, he'll do it in anything. No, he does cry a lot, which I can see why the two most biggest crying scenes are warranted. But he does get a lot more crying scenes. But with Punisher, he keeps all the pain inside. You can feel no emotion, no facial expressions, but looking at his face, you can see the pain he's going through. You can feel it. And it's completely understood. And you can see why he would go after something like this. Thomas Jane he was a great actor to play the role. And I still think that it's probably one of the better comic book movies to come out of the late 90s and early 2000s. So, if you clearly already can see, I've praised it so much. I will say there are some downgrades. The action can get a little underwhelming. A little underwhelming at times. But not to the point where you're just kind of like, okay, this is just boring. Like, there are some exciting moments, but it's nothing too insane, which Punisher Warzone did do later. But it's got good action, it's got a great character, a deep story, and and it makes you feel something. That's one thing that most comic book movies aren't able to do. They make you feel something. They make you feel sad, and honestly, like, at the time, like, before Avengers movies were the movie you had to bring a tissue with, this is the movie that you honestly, like, you can watch it and be, like, honestly feel what he's going through, and you actually a tear might. I don't know. I have no, like, recollection of how of like, what I was, if I cried or not, but I know I felt pain watching this movie. I was like, that's deep. Holy cow. Also, I have to admit, another problem I have with this movie is that the side characters are very forgettable. At least to me. I don't hate the side characters, but they don't stand out as much aside from the love interest. Which, even then, I don't really technically remember her name. Like, I don't even know. Sometimes it gets forgettable, but honestly, the one things that will always stay with me is how I feel during the movie. So, but still, if those are the only flaws, I'm still gonna give this movie a 5 decapitated heads out of 5. And yeah, The Punisher, hands down, probably the best of the Punisher films. And if you haven't seen it, give yourself a frigging go watch the movie. It's a great introduction to the character. So that's it. I don't really know where else to go from here. That's the end of the re-reviews. I don't have any of the Marvel movies on DVD. I mean, like, where do I go from here? I don't know where to go from here, guys. I guess we'll have to do it like this the entire time. Excuse me. I guess we're doing the cinematic universe. Yeah, I think this should be enough to start us off. So there you go. So I guess that's next. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe for more Marvel reviews and nerdy goodness. And I will see all of you in the next video.